Hey, good evening. Saturday night here in Omaha. Before I head out to get some sushi, I wanted to talk to you about this book that I was reading. It took me, let's see, what is it, 10:15 now? Probably sat down with it about, you know, 5, probably 5:30, 6 o'clock with a little hour walk in between. And I basically got through the book. So I used Ty's fast reading method, and so I'll kind of show you the way that I have been doing that and see if it helps you. So first, all right, here's the cover: Story of the Human Body. Daniel Lieberman, Harvard professor of biology, and it's the subtitle is Evolution, Health, and Disease. So, uh, if you are in any health-related field, um, or if you're just interested in how to take care of yourself, this breaks it down. I would say mostly in terms of the background of how we got to where we are today in our modern society, um, from an evolutionary perspective, and also a biologist perspective on where we're going based on our current behaviors and his opinions on how to fix it. I don't agree with that, but I guess I'm new to the game and he's been around a while. But he's a Harvard professor. I'm a clinician out on the street. I kind of see how things are, and so we'll get into that. But let me show you how I read this book in basically 3 hours. Okay, something that uh, if my parents are watching this, they're probably like, that guy read a book, So check this out. Title page. Okay. Go to the back, just like Ty says. Okay, I'm not making up anything new. I'm doing it his way, and it works. So, all right, I'm gonna read the jacket about who this guy is. Daniel Lieberman, Story of the Human Body. Okay, professor of human evolutionary biology at Harvard. Okay, so basically, it's biasing my mind to trust what he says and listen to him, and not if you read a book by Grant Headley, you look in the jacket and said graduated from PT school in 2013, you'd probably take that with a big grain of salt. Okay, he hasn't seen too much yet. He's not a preeminent expert. So that's that. Then you go to table of contents. All right, we look down the table of contents, and okay, we're looking at the chapters. All right, we've got the introduction. I'm going to read that, and then I'm going to read the first chapter. And then, so the introduction, what are humans adapted for? All right, and let's go through that. In the preface, he says, the major point I took out of this is, we get sick from chronic diseases, this is a quote, we get sick from chronic disease by doing what we evolved to do, but under conditions for which our bodies are poorly adapted, and we then pass on those same conditions to our children. Let me turn this down. Who then also get sick. All right, so we are adapted to do things such as he gets into, eat salt, sugar, and fat, because we are evolved. Those things in the past, over 1,000 generations, helped us survive. However, now they're abundant. So this thing that helped us survive now is making us sick. And as I say that, I'm sitting up straight. Always look for even if you think you're a healthy person, always be open to the behaviors that you can do better. So that's the preface. That's a major theme I'm seeing in a lot of the books, that I'm reading these days. That's my stack that I've got to get through. Next one I'll be getting through is this one right here, Diet Cults by Matt Fitzgerald. Racing Weight is his other book. Oh, that's Racing Weight. I don't know. Diet Cults is over there. Anyway, so keep this in mind. How we have evolved to survive, not be healthy. Okay, So the point is that we're evolved not to be happy and healthy, but we're evolved to survive and mate and, pass on our genes. Know what I'm saying? All right, so the first chapter is what are humans adapted for? So if it's not to be happy and healthy, what are we adapted for? And he starts with a quote from Winston Churchill: "If we open a quarrel between the past and the present, we shall find that we have lost the future." So it's a funny thing, that we've evolved consciousness to discuss these complex topics. So, maybe if we, in any other discussion about, oh, the past is better than what we're doing right now, or, everyone should be paleo because that's how we did it 12,000 years ago or whatever. Well, that might not be the proper argument, okay, because we're different now. So this is what Lieberman says, okay, we can, go ahead and try paleo or Atkins diet or whatever. But you know what? Don't think that just because you are gonna go to Whole Foods and get some grass-fed beef, and some kale, that you're gonna reverse time and do it better. So that might be a poor argument. So if you follow me, let's keep getting through this here. All right. One of the major points I identified in this chapter on what we're evolved for is patterns of disability are also changing in disturbing ways as more people around the globe suffer from allergies, asthma, myopia, insomnia, flat feet, and other problems. Stated succinctly, lower mortality is being replaced by higher morbidity. Okay, he says morbidity, he says is ill health. Okay, so we're dying mostly in the modern world, we're dying less of disease and whatnot and violence, but we have more of these morbidities. Interesting, right? Another interesting point from the first chapter. Okay, so again, when you're trying to get your hands around a book, let's just get on the major points that strike you and then move on. Okay. More than $8,000 is spent per person each year on healthcare in the United States, adding up to a nearly 18% of the nation's GDP. Large percentage of this money, this 18% of GDP, is spent on treating preventable illnesses like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Okay. Gross domestic product. Think about, I look at that statistic and I think about how much, what could that 18% of our GDP, that's our entire society's productivity, could be spent on doing something that could be worthwhile to actually make something and not just cure us of stuff that we've done to ourselves. So we're spending this money on stuff that is caused by our poor habits. Let's change that conversation. Instead of saying bad habits, let's say mismatched habits. Okay, because our behaviors are mismatched to our current environment. So what could we be doing with 18% more of our GDP? Could we be colonizing the moon or a big idea like that? So wouldn't that be cool? So moving on. Last major thing in this first chapter. Natural selection is a remarkably simple process that is essentially the outcome of three common phenomena. 1, variation. 2, heritability. 3, differential reproductive success. So you have to, in the way that genetics works, okay, the natural mechanisms of variation are built in. So we're all, the way that we're put together, when the A, T, C's, and G's get put together, there's always a little bit of variation. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, biologists out there. I went the physical therapy route instead of going on the genetics, so correct me if I'm wrong. Heritability, we have to have the mechanism to pass on our genetic code to our next generation and so on. Number 3 is all organisms differ in, the way that we are successful at passing on our genes. That matters. So if the choices that we make us, more likely to attract a mate, those things get reinforced and passed down. All right, so let's move on from the first chapter. Oh, one more thing. Yeah, again. No organism is primarily adapted to be healthy, long-lived, happy, or to achieve many other goals for which people strive. Right? We spend a lot of our energy trying to be happy. Right? It's a main driver of our of the advertising in modern culture. The funny thing is that we're here not to make ourselves happy. We're here to do those 3 things. We're here because of variance. We're here because there was a way to pass on our ancestors' genes to get into us, and now we're here to pass it on. So we're not here for our own happiness. So these behaviors that we have, they're, if we think that, oh, this makes me happy or this makes me unhappy, it's not always the best way to think about things. So keep that in mind. So we'll move on from the introduction here. Okay, we've got some good points in there. This has taken me a while, but it's I've only been doing this for a couple weeks, but it's a lot faster than I used to do it. So then, first chapter and introduction done. I go into the last chapter to hear his summary, okay? So that I get a context for what's in between. It's sort of like you grab hold of that grass-fed burger, you got 2 buns, and then you can understand what's in the middle. So, survival of the fitter, not fittest. He makes a point that quote of survival of the fittest is, Darwin didn't even say that. And so it's about survival of the fitter. So you just have to be fitter than the next guy or girl. You don't have to be, not everyone has to be Arnold or whatever. We just have to be fitter than the next guy. Major points in this chapter. He gives his opinions on how to fix the problem of mismatch. And so, he's saying that, in his perspective as an academic, he attributes a lot of it to research in the NIH. He believes that education is very important and that we should spend more on preventative medicine to solve our health problems. Makes a good point that for the budget that the NIH gets, what's spent on curing preventable diseases is much more than the research that we spend. And then part of that small percentage of research dollars, only a small percentage of that is spent on how to prevent those diseases. So, what are our priorities in our society from what we research and what we put money on? Good point. I want to read this quote, okay, because I'm biased. I'm a physical therapist, but I believe in what we do. So check this out. In the United States and many other countries, healthcare is partly a for-profit industry. Consequently, there is strong incentive to invest in or promote treatments such as antacids or orthotics that alleviate the symptoms of diseases and that people have to buy frequently and for many years. Another way to make lots of money is to favor costly procedures like surgery instead of less expensive preventive treatments like physical therapy. Okay, so I'll remember that when I have a tough day at the office. and if you're thinking about a career that is you know part of the solution, I suppose, take a look at physical therapy. And if you are wondering how to fix yourself, um, find out a good physical therapist in your area that takes an approach of trying to solve the problem, not just trying to alleviate the symptoms. Okay, look for the underlying root cause of what's bothering you. So, how do we change people's behaviors? Okay, because education's one thing, but we have to change people's behaviors. Okay, that's my major question at this stage of my life and my career. Okay, even myself, how do there are some things that I don't do very well. I fall off the wagon, but how do I change my behavior? Okay, he goes down the path of saying health education, government intervention, penalties for companies or people who do the wrong thing. Okay, but he's saying here stuff like, okay, yeah, incentivize, we should make our buildings with stairs easier to take than the escalators. But that, they tried that and it only increased stair climbing by 6% or 8%. If 80% of people have back pain or more than 50% of the population is obese, that's 6 to 8%. We need to go more than that. So again, these are fine ideas, but I bet there's better ideas out there. I don't think education is enough, and he would agree. He thinks that we need to, so we don't want to just treat the symptoms. All right, so he says three things. We need information and skills, motivation, and reinforcement to change behavior. And I kind of made a little note here that he says that we kind of need to be a little bit fascist in how we what he says in how we force good behaviors on our population. I don't know. I don't think that's the way to do it, because people have to be doing it of their own volition. Otherwise, it's the same. How do we get people to eat their vegetables? How do we get kids to eat their vegetables instead of having a Hostess cupcake? Well, I mean, I guess those guys didn't survive, so but so they're bringing them back, because they're so popular. I don't think you can force people to make healthy choices, okay? And you can't beat it down their heads saying this is good for you, or this other thing is bad for you. It has to be something else. And I'm working on that one. I've got a couple ideas that I'll post about later. So that's the story of the human body, okay? It's survival of the fitter. So I'll leave you with this one quote. We don't yet know how to cure most of the major diseases that kill or disable people, but we do know how to lessen their likelihood and sometimes prevent them by using the bodies we inherited more as they evolved to be used. All right, so when you think about when you're at the grocery store and you're about to say, grab that candy bar at the cash register on the way out, think about, does my body know what would my ancestor would have known, what this thing was, and look at how convenient this decision was. I should probably wonder why I made this decision. So, or, I've been sitting all day at my desk and I haven't done exercise. I took a walk last week or something, but I didn't. I can't really remember the last time I did something hard. We used to do hard stuff all the time with not a lot of food, not a lot of comfort. So, do stuff that wakes up that old part of your being. You know, take a cold shower, work out. You know, lift something heavy, but do it with the right form. Okay. Go for a run. You know, when you get up in the morning, you know, do something before you eat breakfast. That's what I like to do. While I'm putting the coffee on, I'll do, you know, 30 push-ups or something. I'm on number 30 now. I started at 10. Now I'm on 30. So, you know, it's power and repetition. So that is, you know, my read, The Story of the Human Body. First chapter, last chapter. I skimmed through the other chapters, looking at some diagrams, reading some interesting paragraphs. Okay, I'm not done with this book. I just started. This is my first go-around with it. So what I'm going to do is, here's my pile of stuff to get through. You know, here's my pile of stuff that I've accomplished over here. So, you know, someone comes over and say, wow, Grant, you're reading a lot of books. Be like, that's right. I am investing. So I hope you guys have a lovely Saturday night, and hope you enjoy this book review. Hope it motivates you to, you know, to pick up a book, and if you've got a good idea, go and you know, do some research and see what other people are, you know, the experts in your field are working on, and see what other ideas that, you know, see how that gives you more meat to your idea. So try that. Email me, gmheadley@gmail.com. See you soon.